Hey guys, what's up? So I'm going to be showing you guys how to set up your Metroboard today. I'm going to be going over the speed level, brake level, show you how to use the little white knobs on your remote, and talk to you a little bit about the battery and all the different features of the board, what you should look out for, and things that you should be careful with. Alright, so I'll see you guys right back. Alright, so here we have the Metroboard, and the first thing you're going to want to do to adjust the speed level is you're going to want to turn on the board. Second, you're going to turn on the remote over here. Push that forward. And you're going to know it's on when the light is red. So the remote has a battery life of about 50 hours. And then the board I have right here has a 40-mile range. So I'm going to show you guys how to adjust the speed for this. And yeah, so okay, so if you pull the remote forward, that's going to accelerate. And if you pull the remote out, it's going to go in reverse. And when it goes in reverse, it's limited to 3 miles per hour. So to adjust the speed settings, you would just hold the remote down where you hear the beep, and you pull it in to adjust the speed. So I'll show you guys how to do that right now. So as you can see, there is 6 beeps, so that means the speed is on level 6. And then I'll show you guys how to bring it all the way down to level 2, 1, and then back up to 9. So yeah, be careful when you're doing that. So make sure you pull this down first before you pull the accelerator, otherwise that's going to happen. So at level 3, it's still 100% full speed. But then when you get down to level 2 and 1, it's going to reduce the speed. So at level 2, it's going to be 50% max speed. And then at level 1, it's going to be 30% max speed for beginner riders. So it's very useful. So right now it's at 50% speed. I'm just going to show you what that looks like. So yeah, it's 50% speed. So let's bring it down to level 1. So let's test it out. Visible difference between level 2 and 1 and all the other levels. So let's bring it back up to 9. And let's test it out. So as you can see, you might not be able to see how fast it's actually spinning, but you can definitely hear it. And also remember that when you're adjusting the speed setting, it goes down in beeps, not up. But for brakes, it's opposite, it goes up in beeps. And the max speed level on every board for the Metroboard is 9, and the lowest is obviously 1. So yeah, now let's show you guys how to do the brake setting. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to show you guys how to take the board in and out of incognito mode. So to go to incognito mode, you do the same thing as you would for setting up the speed setting, but you let go of the trigger as soon as you see the light turn off. So you just do this. So as soon as it turns off, you let go, otherwise it's going to go down a level. But for me, I usually leave my board at level 7, so I'm going to do that. Okay, so it's at level 7, and I'm going to show you guys how to adjust the brakes now. For brakes, it's almost the same thing. You just pull this down, and then you pull the trigger out to adjust the brakes. So I'm going to show you guys how to do that right now. So you see 3 beeps, and before it was 2. So it was on level 2, and I just moved it to level 3. So let's bring it up to level 4. So you heard 4 beeps, that means it's on level 4 now, so that's max brakes. Also keep in mind that when you're accelerating and you go to brakes, it won't go in reverse like some other boards, so you don't have to worry about your board flying in reverse if you're going too fast. So I'll show you guys right now. So if you're accelerating, right, Let's redo that. So if you're accelerating and then you pull forward, as you can see, it comes to a full stop. It won't go in reverse. So if you wait a second or two and then you press it, it'll go in reverse. But it's limited to about 3 miles per hour, so your board won't go flying backwards or you won't fall off your board. Also, when you first use the board, I recommend you use settings 5 or 6. You can use 7 if you want, but I tried using it at level 7 or 8, and even at then I was flying off the board when I first started, so I recommend you start with level 5. Another thing to note is that when you're in inconspicuous mode, when the head and tail lights are off, you should definitely remember to turn off the battery, otherwise it's going to damage the electronics and that's not going to be very good for your board, and it can cause some serious permanent damage which will greatly reduce your battery life or cause you to get a new one. So be careful when you're riding in inconspicuous mode, because I did that before and I almost forgot to turn off the battery, so that's why every time I just ride with it on, because it's much safer that way. Also note that if your board gets too low, or if it's past 1 beep and you hear a series of monotone beeps, don't try and like milk the board and try to use the throttle, because eventually you're just going to damage and fry all the electronics, and it can cause permanent damage to everything in your board and you might have to get a new one, so I wouldn't recommend that. But if your board's low and you plan to kick push it, always remember to leave your board on, and you can use the brakes too because it'll actually recharge the battery. But never try to ride your board without charging it if it's that low. So don't try to pull the trigger. You can just kick push or you can brake, but you should definitely never ride it when it's on low battery because it's going to damage everything. Also keep in mind that the speed level for the board that you set it to and the brake setting is going to be reminded by your board, so when you turn it off and on, you don't have to readjust the setting. It's going to automatically remember the last setting you had and you can just start riding from there. Also, you should never adjust the scale levels while the board is moving because it can be very dangerous. Alright, so now I'm going to talk about the knobs over here. So if you turn it to the left, it's going to be a beeping bell. So when you're passing by pedestrians, you can use it to alert them and let them know you're there. And if you pull it to the right, it's going to tell you your battery level. So it's very useful. Okay, so over here there's a ST trim, and over here is a throttle trim. So ST trim just the beeping sound, so you're going to want in the middle, because if you turn too much to the left, I think it's the, yeah, so it's going to be the bell that you hear over here. And then if you adjust it too much to the right, you're going to hear the battery gauge. So you're going to want it right in the middle where you don't hear either one. And then for the throttle trim, it's going to control whether your board is going forward or backwards. So if you turn it to the left, it's going to be going forward. So as you can see, it's going forward right now. And if you turn the other way too much, it's going to turn backwards. Right, so what you want to do is you want it as much to the left as possible without it getting twitchy. So you see right now it's twitching, right? Or it's going forward, so you just want to turn it back just enough to where it stops. So that's perfect right now. So that way you can still get the max speed that the board is supposed to without having the board twitching forward and running into traffic, because that can be very dangerous. So that's what these white knobs are for, and then I'm going to talk about the mechanical circuit breaker. So I'll be right back. Alright, so now we're going to talk about the mechanical circuit breaker. So due to high current loads on the system, at the level 6 and above, is more likely to cause the mechanical circuit breaker to trip in the middle of a ride, especially when you're climbing up hills. If this happens, you'll hear the declining pitch and the battery beeps, and you may want to wait a minute or two for the circuit breaker to cool off before you can turn it on. Also, if the circuit breaker trips while riding, the battery gauge may lose its calibration. If this happens, the battery gauge will inaccurately report remaining battery capacity until the next time you completely drain the battery. So now we're going to talk about how to restore the default battery calibration. So if you suspect that the battery gauge is not accurate, you'll hear a series of monotone beeps when turning the steering wheel to the right. You can reset the battery gauge to its default calibration. You can do this by holding the steering wheel to the right continuously. First, you'll hear the regular battery gauge beeps repeatedly, then 1 beep for the 10-mile battery, and then more beeps, and then 2 downward pitch beeps for 15-mile battery, then more beeps, then 3 downward beeps for the 20-mile battery, then more beeps, then 4 beeps for the 40-mile battery. You should let go of the steering wheel once you've gotten past the number of downward beeps corresponding to the battery pack size that you have on your Metroboard. Now the battery gauge will be restored to its default calibration. Alright, so now we're going to talk about charging and battery care. Note that you should never charge the batteries in an environment above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Make sure that the skateboard is turned off. Charge time should be as long as 2.5 hours for the 10-mile pack, 3.5 hours for the 15-mile pack, 2.5 hours for the 20-mile pack with fast charger, and 5 hours for the 40-mile pack with fast charger. While charging, the LED will be red. If the charge ever takes more than 6 hours, you should disconnect the charger from the skateboard, as this may indicate a malfunction with either the battery or the charger. When charging is complete, the LED will turn green. If possible, keep the charger connected in the skateboard until ready to ride, or 24 hours, whichever comes first, for a balanced charge. It is best not to leave the charger connected for more than 24 hours after it is done, since there is no benefit to keeping the charger connected for more than 24 hours, since lithium-ion batteries have such a low self-discharge rate and will behave as if freshly charged even weeks after being removed from the charger. However, if it has been over 2 weeks since you last charged it, even if you have not ridden the board, you should charge it again just prior to riding. When storing for extended periods, such as over a month, charge the skateboard at least once a month for at least 8 hours to keep the batteries fully charged and prevent permanent capacity loss. And never store it in hot environments above 78 degrees Fahrenheit or 25 degrees Celsius, or in a humid environment above 60 RH, as this can permanently damage the batteries and electronics. As I was talking about earlier, you should not try to milk the board if the battery is very low, because if the skateboard detects the over discharge first, you'll be able to still ride the skateboard and use brakes. However, if the lithium pack detects it first, then it will be as if the main power switch has been turned off and none of the skateboard functionality, including the brakes, will work until the skateboard is charged. If this happens, you should turn the skateboard power switch off and carry the board to your destination until you can recharge again. Until you recharge, do not continue to ride this board manually, because there is a risk of damaging all the electronics and having everything get fried. So here are some things that you should keep in mind when you're riding the board. So you should always use a wrist strap to avoid dropping the remote in the middle of the ride, because the remote has a range of 300 feet and you don't want the remote to land on the trigger and run into oncoming traffic. And also, before putting the remote in your bag, you should turn it off in case it accidentally get pushed and your board starts flying into traffic, as I mentioned earlier. Alright, so hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you found it informative. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and if you have any questions or comments, please leave it down below, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.